This video is about the seamstress was mocked but a millionaire hugged her son. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. In the quaint town of Willowdale, nestled between rolling hills and vibrant meadows, lived a seamstress named Clara. She was a woman of extraordinary talent with nimble fingers that danced across fabric like a painter's brush on canvas. Clara spent her days transforming simple cloth into exquisite garments, each piece radiating beauty and care. However, her journey was far from easy. Clara was a single mother, her husband having left shortly after the birth of their son, Leo. With a heart full of dreams and a mind spinning with worries, she juggled her small business and the challenges of parenting alone. Her tiny shop, Threads of Hope, sat at the end of Main Street, where townsfolk often passed by, some with admiration, others with disdain. The murmurs were sometimes too loud to ignore. "Look at her, sewing away while her boy runs wild," the shopkeepers would whisper. "Her designs may be pretty, but who can afford to buy them?" Despite all this, Clara chose to weave her strength from the fabric of hope. One bright morning, Clara was bustling about her shop, preparing for her weekly community event. She had organized a small sewing class for children at the local community center, a chance to share her love for the craft. As she arranged colorful threads and gathered fabric scraps, Leo, a lively 6-year-old with big brown eyes and messy curls, bounded into the shop. "Mom, can I help?" he asked, his voice bubbling with excitement. Clara smiled, her heart swelling with affection. "Of course, my little helper, can you sort these buttons by color?" While Leo diligently sorted, Clara took a moment to gaze at him. The world outside might have seemed unkind, but Leo was her ray of sunshine. She knew that every stitch she made was not just for her, it was for him to see the beauty in hard work and creativity. As they prepared for the class, Clara felt a familiar wave of anxiety wash over her. Would the kids enjoy it? Would their parents see value in her teachings? She had faced rejection before, but she had learned to transform that into determination. With a deep breath, she pushed aside her fears. The community center was buzzing with energy on the day of the class. Children ran around, their laughter echoing against the walls, while parents chatted in clusters. Clara set up her materials, her heart pounding as she awaited the arrival of her young student. Soon, a small group gathered around her, eyes wide with curiosity. "Welcome, everyone. Today, we were going to make something special," Clara announced, trying to mask her nervousness with enthusiasm. "We'll all create our very own fabric bookmarks." The children gasped, excitement twinkling in their eyes. As Clara guided them through the process, she noticed Leo sitting among them, his face glowing with pride. He looked at her, silently cheering her on. With each stitch, Clara shared stories of her childhood, of her grandmother who taught her to sew. "Every time you make something with your hands, you're recreating a piece of yourself," she said, watching their tiny hands move with determination. As the class progressed, Clara felt a sense of belonging she hadn't experienced in years. The children's laughter was infectious, and their eagerness to learn reminded her of the beauty and perseverance. Yet, in the back of her mind, the whispers of doubt lingered. Just as they finished the bookmarks, a figure appeared in the doorway. It was Mr. Hargrove, the town's wealthy businessman, known for his stern demeanor and sharp suits. Clara's heart raced. She had often heard rumors about his judgments of those less fortunate. Mr. Hargrove's presence cast a shadow over the bright atmosphere. The children whispered among themselves, their innocent faces turning curious. Clara felt the weight of their gaze as she approached him. "Good afternoon, Mr. Hargrove," she greeted, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. "Welcome to our sewing class." "Seems a bit frivolous, don't you think?" he replied, raising an eyebrow. "A waste of time for these kids when they could be learning something useful." Clara's heart sank, but she took a deep breath. Sewing teaches creativity and problem solving. It is about more than just making things, it is about expressing oneself, she countered, hoping to find a thread of understanding. Before he could respond, Leo chimed in, his small voice cutting through the tension. "But Mr. Hargrove, my mom makes the best dresses, and you can wear a book." His innocent honesty surprised everyone, even Clara, who felt a flicker of pride. Mr. Hargrove looked down at the child, his expression softening ever so slightly. "Is that so?" he asked, curiosity piqued. "Yeah, and one day, I want to help her make clothes for everyone," Leo exclaimed, his eyes shining with fervor. For a moment, Clara thought she saw a glimmer of light in Mr. Hargrove's eyes, but it quickly faded. "Be careful, young man. Dreams are one thing, reality is another." Clara's heart ached at the jab. As Mr. Hargrove turned to leave, she felt the weight of his words. The sting of judgment was all too familiar, yet Leo's unwavering belief in her was a bond to her heart. After the class concluded, Clara packed up her materials, a mix of exhaustion and fulfillment washing over her. As Leo helped her, Clara couldn't shake off the encounter with Mr. Hargrove. "Mom, don't worry about him," Leo said, sensing her unease. "He doesn't know how special you are." Clara knelt down to his level, brushing his curls back. "Thank you, love, but sometimes even grown-ups can get lost in their own worries." Later that evening, as Clara tucked Leo into bed, she found herself reflecting on the day. "You know, Leo, every time we face challenges, we learn to be stronger," she whispered, her voice filled with warmth. "Like how you didn't let Mr. Hargrove be mean?" he asked, his eyelids growing heavy. "Yes, just like that. And how we can always find beauty in our work, no matter how small," she replied, kissing his forehead. As Clara turned off the light, she felt the rush of determination surge through her. The world might be tough, but her son's belief in her gave her strength. She'd weave the fabric of her dreams, one stitch at a time. The next day, as Clara opened her shop, she was met with the familiar sound of the bell above the door. It was Mrs. Thompson, an elderly woman who often came in to chat. "Good morning, Clara. I heard about your class. It was wonderful," she beamed. "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. It means a lot," Clara replied, her heart warming at the compliment. "Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Your talent is a gift to this town," Mrs. Thompson said, her voice steady. "Keep sowing your dreams, dear." Clara smiled, knowing that words like these were the threads that held her spirit together. With renewed vigor, she set to work creating a new collection, inspired by the hope she found in her sewing class and the sweet laughter of children. As she stitched, her mind wandered back to Mr. Hargrove. Perhaps he was struggling too, beyond the surface of his wealth. Maybe he too felt lost, confined by expectations and the pressure of success. Clara made a silent vow to herself. She would not only continue to sew, but also embrace kindness in the face of judgment. And so, Clara's journey continued, a beautiful tapestry woven with threads of resilience, kindness, and the unwavering belief that every stitch could lead to something greater. Little did she know, fate had more in store for her and Leo, intertwining their lives with those of the town's most unexpected figures. With hope in her heart and a needle in her hand, Clara was prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. 2 weeks had passed since the sewing class, and Clara felt a surge of energy each morning as she opened the door to Threads of Hope. The shop was gradually becoming a haven for the community. Children would often peer through the window, drawn by the colorful fabrics and the promise of creativity. One sunny afternoon, as Clara was organizing her fabrics, she heard a familiar voice. "Mrs. Hargrove, what brings you here today?" It was Mrs. Thompson, who had become a frequent visitor and a pillow support. "I just came by to see if you had any fabric that could brighten up my granddaughter's room," Mrs. Hargrove replied, a voice warm. Clara turned to greet the woman, surprised to find her at the shop. "I'd love to help with that," Clara exclaimed, leading her to the back where her vibrant cotton prints hung like paintings. "Maybe something with flowers or stars." "Oh, stars, I love that idea," Mrs. Hargrove said, her face lighting up. "You know, Clara, you have a gift not just for sewing but for bringing joy to people." Clara blushed at the compliment. "Thank you, I try my best to share what I love." As they chatted, Clara couldn't shake the memory of Mr. Hargrove's earlier visit. She had felt the sting of his words, but also the flicker of hope that had ignited within her. Perhaps there was a chance for understanding if she crossed paths with him again. Later that week, as Clara was delivering a dress to a customer, she spotted Mr. Hargrove leaning against his expensive car outside the cafe. Her heart raced. Part of her wanted to turn away, but something deeper urged her to approach him. "Good afternoon, Mr. Hargrove," Clara said, her voice steady. He looked up, surprise flickering across his face. "Yes, Clara, I didn't expect to see you here. I came to deliver this dress I made for Mrs. Fields. I thought I'd take a moment to enjoy the sunshine," she replied, her heart pounding. Mr. Hargrove paused, his expression softening slightly. "I see. And how is that little boy of yours?" "Leo is doing well," Clara said, her heart swelling with pride. "He has been helping me in the shop and even dreams of one day making clothes for everyone." "Children and their dreams," he mused, almost to himself. "I had dreams once too, you know." Clara took a breath, sensing a rare moment of vulnerability. "We all face challenges, don't we? Sometimes it is hard to hold on to those dreams amid the noise." He looked at her, surprised as she crossed his features. You're more insightful than I gave you credit for. It's easy to dismiss things that seem trivial, especially when one has expectations. Perhaps it is not about what we expect, but what we create from what we were given, Clara replied gently, her courage growing. Mr. Hargrove studied her for a moment, and Clara could almost see the gears turning in his mind. Interesting perspective, Ms. Clara. I am afraid I haven't been the most understanding person lately, he admitted, his voice low. Life can be overwhelming, she said, her tone sincere. We all have our battles. I've faced mockery, but it has taught me resilience. He nodded slowly, and Clara felt a warmth between them, a shared understanding that transcended their differences. Perhaps I could come by your shop one day and see what you've been working on, Mr. Hargrove suggested. Really? That would be wonderful. Clara responded, taken aback by his offer. Just to observe, mind you, he added quickly with a small grin. Of course, I welcome all the eyes, Clara said, her heart fluttering with hope. Weeks passed, and Mr. Hargrove's unexpected visit became a topic of conversation in Clara's mind. Would he truly come and see her work? Could she bridge the gap between their worlds? One rainy afternoon, as Clara was sewing a new design, the bell above the door chimed. She looked up to find Mr. Hargrove stepping inside, his presence bringing a gust of wind and an unexpected chill. Hello, Ms. Clara, he said, shaking off his umbrella. I figured I'd take you up on that offer. Welcome, please. Come in, Clara said, motioning him towards a display of her latest creations. As he walked through the shop, Clara felt the weight of her insecurities. What do you think? She asked, anxiety creeping into her voice. They were remarkable, he replied, his eyes scanning the fabrics. I had no idea you could create such beauty. Thank you, Clara said, relieved but still apprehensive. Sewing is not just a job for me, it is a way to express everything I feel. He nodded thoughtfully. I've spent so much time building a business, I almost forgot what it meant to create. Clara's heart softened at his honesty. It is never too late to start again. I believe everyone has the ability to create, no matter where they are in life. Perhaps I should take up sewing myself, he mused, a hint of playfulness in his tone. Why not? Clara grinned. It is never too late to learn something new. With that, the conversation gradually flowed, exploring dreams, fears, and the vulnerabilities that marked their lives. Clara spoke passionately about her son Leo and her hopes for him, and Mr. Hargrove shared his own ambitions that had once been overshadowed by the demands of running a business. Your son is lucky to have you, Mr. Hargrove said, his tone sincere. He'll all grow up knowing he can follow his dreams without fear. Clara felt warmth spreading through her at his words. It felt like a new thread weaving into the fabric of their connection. As they chatted, she realized that beneath his stern exterior was a man seeking something more much like herself. Would you be interested in collaborating with me on a community event? Clara asked, her voice filled with excitement. Something that showcases local talent? Mr. Hargrove raised an eyebrow. You mean, like a market day, featuring local artisans? Yes, we could celebrate creativity in our community, and perhaps it could also help bridge gaps between us, Clara suggested. Count me in, he replied, his eyes brightening with enthusiasm. I'd love to help organize it. Over the next few weeks, Clara and Mr. Hargrove worked diligently. They reached out to local artists, musicians, and food vendors, planning an event that would bring the town together. Clara's heart swelled with hope. Perhaps this was her chance to create something meaningful beyond her shop. As the day of the event approached, Clara felt a blend of excitement and nerves. Would the community embrace the idea? Would people come and support local talent? On the morning of the event, Clara's heart raced as she set up her booth, surrounded by vibrant fabrics and cheerful decorations. She spotted Leo running towards her, a big smile on his face. Mom, it is so pretty, he exclaimed, his eyes wide with wonder. I am glad you like it, sweetheart, Thar said, kneeling to his level. Are you excited to help me? Yes, I can't wait to make new friends. Leo bounced on his toes, his joy infectious. As the sun rose higher in the sky, the event came to life. Local musicians strummed their guitars, laughter mingled with the scent of delicious food, and the community buzzed with energy. Clara watched as families embraced the experience, children discovering their own creativity. And then she spotted Mr. Hargrove, chatting animatedly with a group of people. He seemed transformed, laughing and engaging in a way she had never seen before. Clara felt a swell of gratitude. This event was more than a marketplace, it was a tapestry of connection. As the day wound down, Clara took a moment to breathe in the atmosphere. I can't believe we did it, she said, turning to Mr. Hargrove, who stood beside her. Neither can I, he replied, a smile spreading across his face. "You've created something truly special here, Clara. I couldn't have done it without your support," she said, her heart swelling with appreciation. As they stood together, watching families gather and friends laugh, Clara realized that they had forged a bond that transcended their initial differences. There were two people, united by a shared passion for creativity and a desire to uplift their community. "Here's to new beginnings," Mr. Hargrove said, raising an imaginary glass. "Into dreams and resilience," Clara replied, her heart brimming with hope. That evening, as they packed up the last of the materials, Clara felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. She had faced challenges, but with each stitch, she had woven a story of hope, resilience, and kindness. Leo ran up to her, his face glowing. "Mom, can we do this every year?" Clara bent down, pulling him into a warm hug. "Absolutely, my love, this is just the beginning." And as the sun dipped below the horizon, Clara's heart swelled with the knowledge that they would continue to find beauty in their work and their. As the sun began to set over Willowdale, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Clara stood outside Threads of Hope, her heart filled with a sense of accomplishment. It had been a transformative day, one where the fabric of her dreams had interwoven with the community spirit. Leo clutched her hand, his small fingers warm and reassuring. "Mom," he began, his voice bubbling with excitement, "I can't believe all those people came. They loved your sewing." Clara smiled down at him, her heart swelling with pride. "It was all of us, sweetheart. Everyone worked together, and that made it special." As they walked home, Clara couldn't help but replay the day in her mind. The laughter of children, the cheerful melodies of local musicians, and the sense of unity that filled the air, it was a beautiful tapestry woven from the threads of hope and kindness. But as she entered their modest home, a familiar wave of anxiety washed over her. Would they be able to sustain this momentum? Would the community support her shop beyond this event? Dinner was a simple affair. Leo, with his boundless energy, animatedly recounted his favorite moments from the event. "And then, when I showed that little girl how to sew a button, she was so happy, like, her eyes were sparkling." Clara couldn't help but chuckle. "You've definitely inherited my love for sewing, my little helper. We'll need to start another class soon." "Can we do one with all the kids from today?" he asked, his eyes wide with enthusiasm. "Of course, I think we can even have a fashion show at the next event," Clara replied, feeling a spark of inspiration ignite within her. She wanted to nurture not only Leo's passion, but also the budding dreams of other children. Later that evening, as she tucked Leo into bed, Clara paused to reflect. "You know, Leo, today was a reminder that when we come together, we can create something beautiful. Just like all the stitches in your dresses, right?" He mumbled sleepily, his eyelids drooping. "Exactly, just like that," Clara whispered, planting a gentle kiss on his forehead. But as she closed the door, the weight of tomorrow loomed over her. What if the community didn't show up again? What if Mr. Hargrove's support was just a fleeting moment of kindness? The following week was a whirlwind of activity. Clara busied herself with orders and planning the next class while also reflecting on Mr. Hargrove's offer to support her shop. The shadows of doubt crept closer, whispering that she was not equipped to run a business, let alone organize another successful event. One afternoon, as she flipped through a pile of fabric swatches, a knock at the door startled her. Mr. Hargrove stood outside, dressed casually in a blue shirt and jeans, his usual stern demeanor softened. "Mr. Hargrove, what brings you here?" Clara asked, surprised but also thrilled. "I came to see how you're doing after the event," he replied, stepping inside. "I wanted to talk about our next steps." Clara's heart leaped at the unexpected support. "Really? I am eager to hear your ideas. I've been thinking about how to build on this momentum." He nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I've been speaking to some local businesses. We could create a monthly market to showcase local artisans and crafters that would keep the community engaged." "That sounds incredible. I love the idea of having a regular event," Clara said, her excitement bubbling over. "It would give us a chance to keep the spirit alive." "Exactly," he agreed, a spark igniting in his eyes. "And it'll give you a chance to teach more kids how to sew." I saw how passionate Leo was, and it reminded me of my own childhood. Clara felt a warmth grow within her. "You know, it is amazing how our past shapes us. I often think of my grandmother and how she inspired me to sew. She had a way of seeing beauty everywhere, even in the most ordinary things." Mr. Hargrove smiled, a flicker of vulnerability passing through his eyes. "I wish I had that perspective when I was younger. I was so focused on success that I lost sight of what truly mattered." Clara leaned forward, intrigued. "What do you mean?" Let us just say, not all achievements bring fulfillment, he replied, his voice tinged with regret. This community event made me realize that true connection and creativity are far more valuable. With each passing day, Clara and Mr. Hargrove's partnership blossomed. They organized workshops, gathered local artisans, and created a sense of community that resonated deep within Willowdale. Clara felt her fears melting away as she embraced this new chapter, inspired by the support surrounding her. Leo was ecstatic. He had taken on a role of his own, helping his mother prepare for the workshops and engaging with the children who came to learn. "Mom, can I show them how to make a little pouch next time?" he asked one evening, bouncing on the balls of his feet. Clara beamed at him, heart swelling with pride. "That sounds perfect, Theo. You are going to be an amazing teacher." Weeks turned into months, and the monthly markets became the talk of the town. Clara's shop flourished, filled with vibrant fabrics and patterns. The children's workshops attracted families from neighboring towns. Clara's heart was full as she witnessed the community blossom around threads of hope. Yet amid this joy, Clara still faced challenges. Balancing her responsibilities took a toll on her, and there were days when a weight of doubt pressed heavily on her shoulders. One particularly stressful evening, Clara sat on her shop floor surrounded by unfinished projects, feeling utterly defeated. "Mom?" Leo's small voice broke through her thoughts. He peeked around the corner, concern etched on his face. "Are you okay?" Clara wiped her eyes quickly, forcing a smile. "I am just a little tired, sweetheart. You know how busy things are lately." He walked over, wrapping his tiny arms around her. "It is okay to be tired. You do so much for us, but you are amazing, Mom. You make everything pretty." Tears threatened to spill as Clara hugged him back tightly. "Thank you for believing in me, Leo. I am trying my best." "You can do anything, just like when you teach the kids how to sew. You show them how to make their dreams," he said, eyes sparkling with conviction. With a renewed sense of purpose sparked by her son's words, Clara stood up, brushing off the heaviness. "You were right, my love. We can face anything together." That weekend, a surprise awaited Clara. As she prepared for the market, a line of customers formed outside her shop, eager to see the latest creations. To her astonishment, Mr. Hargrove arrived, carrying a bouquet of fresh flowers. "Clara, you've inspired so many people. I wanted to show my appreciation," he said, presenting the bouquet with a warm smile. Clara felt tears welling in her eyes. "Thank you. This means a lot to me. I never expected such kindness." "Just remember, we are all a part of this tapestry," he said, looking around at the gathering crowd. "Your work has brought us all together." And it was true, a sense of community had blossomed that Clara could hardly have imagined. The market thrived, with families gathering to support local artisans, kids laughing and learning to create, and friendships forming in the most unexpected of places. One sunny afternoon, Clara stood at her booth, watching Leo interact with the other children. They were all giggling as he demonstrated how to sew a button on a small piece of fabric. Clara's heart swelled with pride, grateful for the journey they had embarked on together. "Mom, look, I made this for you," Leo announced, rushing over with a small patchwork pouch he had crafted. Clara knelt down, her heart melting as she examined his creation. "Oh, it is beautiful. You've done such a wonderful job." He beamed, his face lighting up. "Now you can carry your sewing supplies in it." Just then, a familiar face approached them. It was Mrs. Hargrove, her eyes twinkling. "I just had to come to see what all the excitement was about. You two are incredible." "Thank you, Mrs. Hargrove," Clara replied, her heart warmed by the woman's support. As the market continued, Clara found herself surrounded by the laughter and joy of the community. She saw Mr. Hargrove engaging with adults, and for the first time, he seemed truly at ease, his laughter echoing through the air. Later that day, Clara took a moment to step back from her booth, reflecting on how far they had come. The challenges had been real, but with each hurdle, they had built something meaningful. As she watched Leo surrounded by new friends, she felt a surge of gratitude. All her fears had been met with kindness, and the community had embraced not just her work, but her very spirit. They had stitched together a story of resilience, hope, and love. "Caw," Mr. Hargrove called, stepping toward her with an energetic stride. "I think we've created something special here, and it's all thanks to your vision." "Together, we did it," Clara responded, warmth spreading through her heart. "Let us keep this momentum going," Mr. Hargrove said, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "We should plan an annual festival, a celebration of creativity and community spirit. Just imagine what we could achieve." Clara's heart raced at the thought. She had always dreamed of bringing people together, but the scale he suggested felt daunting. An annual festival, she echoed, a mix of excitement and fear swirling within her. That sounds incredible, but what if we can't pull it off? Every great idea starts with a leap of faith, he replied, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. And you've already built something beautiful here, together. We have the power to inspire others. Taking a deep breath, Clara felt the flicker of hope reignite within her. They had created a vibrant community market from scratch. Perhaps, just perhaps, this could be the next step in their journey. You rewrite. Let us do it. Over the next few months, Clara and Mr. Hargrove poured their hearts into planning the festival. They met with local artists, musicians, and food vendors, gathering ideas and creating a vision that included everyone. Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose, her worries pushed aside by the excitement of what was to come. Yet, as the festival date approached, the pressure began to mount. Clara found herself lying awake at night, her mind racing with thoughts. What if it rained? What if people didn't come? What if she failed to meet the expectations of her community and Mr. Hargrove? One evening, after a long day of planning, Clara sat on the porch of their home, watching Leo run around the yard, laughing with their neighbor's children. She couldn't help but smile at the sight. Leo was a beacon of joy, and she knew that whatever happened, she had to be strong for him. Mom, Leo called out, running over, breathless with excitement. Can we make some more banners for the festival? I want to help. Clara's heart warmed. Of course, sweetheart, let us make them as colorful as we can. She motioned for him to join her at the table, where paints and fabric scraps lay waiting. We can even add some sparkles. As they crafted together, Clara felt the tension in her chest begin to ease. Theodore's laughter was infectious, and as they worked side by side, she realized that this was what mattered most: creating, sharing, and finding joy in the process. Mom, do you think lots of people will come? Leo asked, his small hands busy decorating a banner. I hope so, Clara replied, her voice soft. But even if just a few come, it will be special because we're all doing it together. Yeah, just like how we made the market happen, Leo said, beaming at her. Exactly. Clara smiled, feeling a surge of gratitude for her son's positivity. And we'll show everyone what we can do when we unite. The day of the festival dawned bright and clear, a perfect day for celebration. Clara could hardly contain her excitement as she prepared her booth, arranging colorful fabrics and showcasing the creations she had made. The air buzzed with anticipation as vendors began to set up their stalls, musicians tuned their instruments, and families arrived, their faces lit up with joy. As people filtered in, Clara felt her heart swell with pride. She spotted Mr. Hargrove across the way, speaking to a group of patrons and gesturing animatedly. His demeanor was lighter, almost youthful, as he engaged with the community he had once dismissed. Hey, Mom, Leo exclaimed, running up to her, a big grin on his face. Look at all the people. Can I go make friends? Of course, but remember to come back and help me with the booth later, she said, ruffling his hair affectionately. Promise. He dashed off, his laughter blending with the festive atmosphere. Clara watched him disappear into the throng of children, her heart swelling with a mix of joy and worry. As the festival unfolded, she spoke with visitors, sharing her passion for sewing and the story behind her creations. The warmth of their support wrapped around her like a comforting quilt. But as the day wore on, her nerves began to stir again. She noticed clusters of people admiring the booths, but there were also whispers of discontent. I am not sure this is what we need, she overheard one person say, casting a critical glance at the handmade goods. Clara felt a knot form in her stomach. What if her efforts weren't enough? She had poured her heart into this festival, and the thought of disappointing her community was unbearable. Just as doubt began to creep in, Mr. Hargrove approached, his expression serious yet kind. Clara, it is important to remember that not everyone will appreciate what we create, he said, his voice steady. But that doesn't diminish the value of our work. I know, Clara replied, her heart heavy. But I want everyone to see the beauty we can create together. He nodded, understanding her struggle. It is okay to feel vulnerable, but look around you, people are engaging, smiling, and connecting. That is what truly matters. You've already brought this community closer. Taking a deep breath, Clara allowed his words to sink in. She glanced around, observing the laughter, the children playing, and the conversation sparking all around them. Perhaps the true spirit of the festival was not just in the sales or praise, but in the connections formed through shared creativity. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the festival, Clara felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. She spotted Leo surrounded by new friends as they held up their colorful banners, laughing as they waved them in the gentle evening breeze. Clara's heart filled with warmth. This is what she had envisioned, a celebration of unity and creativity. "Clara," Mr. Hargrove called, making his way through the crowd. "I think we've created something truly special here. The feedback has been overwhelmingly positive." "Really?" Clara asked, hope blazed in her voice. "Absolutely. Look at how engaged everyone is. You've inspired not just the children, but adults too. They're excited to see what else you'll create." As she took in his words, Clara felt the weight of doubt lift from her shoulders. She had poured her heart into threads of hope, and it was starting to resonate with others. This festival was not just a celebration of her work, but a reminder of the beauty that flourishes through collaboration and creativity. "Thank you," Clara said, her voice choked with emotion. "I couldn't have done this without your support. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." "Just remember," he said, his expression sincere, "we're all a part of this tapestry. Your strength has brought us together, and I am grateful to be part of this journey." As they exchanged smiles, Clara felt a deep connection with him, a bond forged through shared struggles and newfound hope. The festival continued until the stars began to twinkle in the night sky. Clara and Mr. Hargrove watched as families gathered around a small stage where local musicians performed, filling the air with melodic tunes. Clara leaned against the booth, feeling a sense of fulfillment envelop her. "Mom, come dance with us," Leo yelled, tugging at her hand. His excitement was contagious, and she couldn't resist his enthusiasm. "All right, let us dance." Clara laughed, joining her son and the other children in the open space, where joy filled the air. For that moment, all her worries faded, leaving only laughter and the warmth of community. As the night wore on, Clara's heart brimmed with gratitude. The festival had been a success, but more importantly, it had sparked connections that would continue to flourish. She realized that her dreams were intertwined with those of the people around her, each person a unique thread in this elaborate tapestry of life. When the festival finally came to a close, Clara helped with the cleanup alongside Mr. Hargrove and other volunteers. As they worked side by side, Clara felt a sense of camaraderie that solidified their partnership. "Clara," Mr. Hargrove said, breaking the silence, "I think we've created something incredible here, but I believe this is just the beginning. What do you think about expanding the workshops to include more crafts and skills?" Clara's heart soared at the thought. "That sounds amazing. I would love to incorporate other artisans. It would bring even more people together." "Exactly, and we could invite local chefs to share their culinary skills. Imagine the connections we could foster through food and art," he suggested, his eyes lighting up. "I can see it now, a family-oriented event where everyone learns and shares their talents," Clara said, her excitement bubbling over. As they finalized plans for the next steps, Clara realized how far she had come. She had faced challenges and doubts, but she had also discovered resilience and strength she never knew she possessed. In the weeks that followed, Clara continued to teach sewing workshops, sharing her passion with children and adults alike. The community's enthusiasm fueled her spirit, and she felt a growing sense of belonging. One evening, as Clara tucked Leo into bed, she reflected on the journey they had embarked on together. "You know, Leo, we've built something truly special. Our community is filled with creativity, kindness, and love. Just like your dresses, Mom," Leo replied, his eyes gleaming with sleep.